Hi, today we'll be delving deeper into communalism, our original way of life before democracy. Prior to the widespread adoption of Western-style democracy, many cultures across the globe organized themselves with a strong emphasis on group, communal responsibility, and shared resources. It was a fundamental aspect of their social, economic, and political life, deeply embedded in their practices. For example, ancient civilizations like the Inca Empire, ancient China, Native American societies, Aboriginal Australian societies, and traditional African societies practice communalism as the way of life. It is important to note that these cultures practice communalism and organize themselves around principles of collectivism far before the official term communism was coined by Karl Marx in the mid-1800s. Let's look at a few components of the structure of communalism in traditional African societies. There are many examples, but we'll discuss just 5. 1. Emphasis on community. The interests of the community were often prioritized over individual desires. 2. Communal ownership and resource sharing. Land and other vital resources were shared rather than privately owned. There were traditional systems of sharing labor and resources to ensure the welfare of all members of community. 3. Mutual support and working together. 4. Consensus-based decision-making. Traditional governance often involved community participation and decision-making processes that aimed for consensus rather than majority rule. Community elders played an important role in this process. 5. Strong kinship ties. Families and extended kinship networks were central, providing social nets for cooperation and support. This was before the colonial invaders came in and started creating all sorts of physical borders and sharing Africa among themselves as they liked. Did you notice that there was no mention of capital or money? The official definition of communism in the mid-1800s held that one of the ideals of a communist society should be the absence of money and state. And what this tells me is that there was an awareness that money and its regulation by state or government was not an ideal part of societal organizing, and there was this conscious desire to have it removed. A bit of research shows that money was indeed an integral part of society in the mid-1800s, and that in fact, it was a crucial time for the development and expansion of modern capitalism. So you see that with the adoption of Western-style democracy also came the idea of capitalism. These two are Siamese twins. Capitalism supports the interests of self over community, and this system has greatly disrupted our original way of life that was rooted in communalism. Therefore, this is literally and unfortunately no longer how we do life today. There is barely any semblance of communal living in our social structures, dynamics, or even our behaviors. Instead, we now have a completely different value system where there is a centering of self-interest, mass acquisition, and the survival of the fittest mentality. A return to communal living has got to come with some creativity, mindset shifts, and intentional practices. The current socio-economic and political systems in place today are not working because they are not authentically ours. We are dealing with a more classist, unequal, and economically imbalanced society today, which has created a more anxious people focused on self-preservation and rarely thinking about others or the common good. Since most governments operate capitalist systems, it will be up to us to design the future we deserve and do so collectively. This will include becoming intentional about what we give our attention and our support to. Over the next few videos, we'll journey through human history to examine how communalism was practiced across different cultures. We'll explore what made it work and why it's still important to think about now. Thank you for watching.